follow me when the sky starts to change. Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again.
All right, guys, welcome to our coverage for SmackDown tonight. It's going to be a little bit different because I'll be honest, and you'll probably understand once we dive a little bit deeper into the show, but me and Vash weren't really feeling SmackDown all that much. We'll still give our thoughts on it, but as a whole, we have a lot more to talk about when it comes to a lot of the releases, because that was one of the ongoing things throughout the entire show itself. It's not like it's something that came out yesterday where if we did Grappling with the Week, we could have talked about it or anything. This literally happened during the show. So we'll definitely get into that and give our thoughts about everything surrounding there, giving some time to each of those people released. But I want to bring you guys into the show by saying, with anime and our souls and thoughts of wrestling out of control, we are a group of weebs who love the entertainment of professional wrestling. So allow us to be the voice inside of your head as we go through the wrestling event of the evening, give our thoughts and prediction on what's to come, and to provide an experience inclusive to all nerds. Remember to grab your steel chair, yell for the table, and get put through an experience like none other. Brought to you by Anime Wii Studio. This is the Weebs of the Ring podcast. Watkins is doing his own thing tonight, so you'll be seeing him maybe on Raw, definitely on Grappling with the Week next week, and probably SmackDown. So it's just going to be me and Vash again, which we had a lot of fun talking about Raw on Monday. It was a very fun show for us to talk about. And like I said, this is going to be a different episode that we normally do, because we normally just talk about the show itself. But it's just going to feel different. Like, the whole mood is going to be different. Our visionary here, Legend D Vash, you probably have some things to expand on what I said as well.
Yes, drop. For those that are tuning in, those that are checking us out, we appreciate for everyone that's tuning for this Raw SmackDown. Is your boy, the human of Typhoon, the visionary Legend D Vash, but you could just simply call me Vash. And like Drop said, I support and agree that this SmackDown felt like background noise. Anybody and everybody on the timeline felt the same. Me and Drop wasn't alone in this. I asked him an hour ago, hey brother, how do you feel about us doing the cover still tonight? You feel still interested? Like, literally, he brought it up and I forgot about it, that about 6 months ago, we also had the same experience of being releases during SmackDown during the same day. And I was telling him, like, I wish it happening during Thursday so we could cover it during Grappling, or it happens during Saturday over the weekend so it can marinate. But happening literally hours before Friday night show, where all these wrestlers still have to do their job, act out the roles. We have people, whatever type of scenarios you want to put out there. But either way, the Damian Priest looks hurt out there, seeing his friends, seeing Kayden Carter and a few other people just being released. We had the indie god also Dijak and a few others saying, hey, find the positive out of these things. Good luck to all these other superstars, all these other pro wrestlers. And it just seems hurtful. Like, I'm a fan of a few of them that got released. I'm a fan of Dakota Kai, Katana Chance, and Kayden Carter. I always confuse the name. My apologies, but
That's fine.
but you guys know who I mean. Well, also Shayna Baszler, all these people, it's like me and Drop couldn't watch the show and feel genuine about it. So we just couldn't even care for the show. Was the show actually good? I don't know, because I have a bit biased, like I just said, that it was just a bit of a background noise. I already had it on the side while I was just chatting with wifey. I was like, hey, I hear what's going on. I tuned in a few times, the Aleister match, the Rey Fenix stuff, the Andrade stuff. All these things had cool moments, but I just wasn't hooked in. It gets me very upset as a fan, but I really can't wait to talk about this with you guys because there's time because they'll be in the bottom. So if anybody wants to tune in, see what else, because, like Drop said, we didn't have a Grappling with the Week episode this week. So it's just also perfect to kind of mesh a bit of the show, talk about the SmackDown, and then a bit of the readings because not much news drop except this fucking bullshit that did. It's just insane. It just gets me frustrated. It's like, how do you have a SmackDown show where your work is supposed to be up and daisy and act out the performance, but still have to be like, yo, my friends just got fired. I had to explain to my girl, like, what do you mean? Like, what did they do? Like, did they get fired? Like, no, releases it like they're letting go of their contract. The contract, like, their performance under their names or under said company. But now that they're not in the country, they could work for anybody else right away or wait for 90 days. So it's like, explaining my wife is like not knowing why I was sad because I'm a fan of these people. It just sucks.
Yeah, because I know with the main roster talent that got released, they have 90 days, and I know for NXT talent that got released, they have 30 days. So around a month, they're like up and running again. But yeah, it's literally like you're watching the show, it goes on commercial, or whatever happens in between. You're scrolling on a phone, which is a normal thing to do if you're like watching wrestling or whatever, just to pass time. Really, it's just a normal thing you do. And you could easily be refreshing your timeline and look, another name popping up. Look, another name popping up. And I even talked to Vash as we were preparing the show for tonight for you guys that I am pretty sure this isn't the last of it, because last time this happened, it literally happened over the weekend where you had it start off on Friday, then you had it transition into Saturday. Sunday was a little tame. But I feel like this is just the beginning of it. I'm not saying that I want more releases because these are people losing their jobs. It's just something that I have a feeling that this isn't it. But like Vash said, we are going to give our thoughts on SmackDown tonight, which I feel like would probably be the best thing for us to do now so we can focus on what we really want to talk about later. But I agree with what Vash said. I mean, I felt the exact same way. It was a little background noise. I told Vash I had to get a cup of soda to keep myself up. I mean, the 2 coffees that you normally see me drink throughout the show to keep myself up as we're doing the show, this is definitely coming in handy because I was actually passing out a few times. But let's get into our headline story when it comes to what our main event was tonight. That happens to be the tag team match between Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill teaming up against Naomi and Nia. And this pretty much started off where Nia came out and she was addressing herself, saying she's back to reclaim her throne after losing the belt to Tiffany Stratton. Because as you guys remember, we started the year off with Tiffany Stratton cashing in on Nia Jax and becoming the women's champion on SmackDown. And then you had Tiffany coming out saying all of her accolades that she has recently done when it came to, taking care of Nia, when it came to facing Charlotte at WrestleMania, beating her, naming her one of the greatest of all time, which she is. That had some boos around it, which I'll definitely, get into the crowd lately because I haven't been feeling these past couple crowds, if I'm being 100% honest with you guys.
And you ain't the only one. A lot of people have not been feeling the pop above Zelina, a few other superstars, and it's kind of feeling it dry. It affects the aura of the superstars. Even Aleister Black having no pop either. It kind of makes it very dry.
Yeah, definitely. So it's like you had them coming out, speaking the shit and everything, getting at it again, which is pretty much what Tiffany's next program is going to be, because we have a match set up where it's Jade Cargill versus Nia Jax to get a shot at Tiffany. More than likely, I would assume, just given an early prediction, you're probably going to have Nia win that match, because Naomi's probably going to come out not wanting her to get that opportunity unless it turns into a fatal four-way or whatever. Who knows? But pretty much you had this whole segment take place where Tiffany and Nia were talking shit, and then it ended up leading a little path for Naomi and Jay to come out. A lot of shenanigans playing out. They were attacking each other. And then Nick Aldis came out and made this our tag match. And, I mean, to be completely honest with you, it happened. I mean, it's like, once I get to my coverage that I talked about Vash today, when it comes to Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Literally the name of that video that I'm going to be saying it is Jason Takes Manhattan was something. And what I mean by that, when it comes to reference of this was something. That's honestly all I can really say when it comes to this match itself. I get what they're trying to do. This is the next big thing when it comes to the ongoing rivalry with Jade and Naomi still continuing their thing, and Tiffany and Nia Jax being slotted to continue this little program. And hopefully after this, Tiffany can move on to, bigger things. But this didn't really do as much for me. If I'm being 100% honest, I always love seeing these girls in action. Not saying I don't, but this didn't really do as much for me. Like, how did you feel about the match, just based on like what you've seen from it, or like little glimpses of it or whatever? Like, how do you feel overall about what's going on with the direction of the main title for the ladies on SmackDown when it comes to Tiffany and everything surrounding that?
This match felt it was more story driven, but not story driven for the actual characters. It was more intertwining them into something bigger, and I felt like the execution fell flat. Yeah. Because we had Nia coming back, great for her. She looked amazing. People simping for her online. Good for you guys. Good for her and her character. She was trying for her dominance. She either didn't crack under pressure like Charlotte did a couple weeks ago when the crowd was trying to go back and forth with her. Nia fed them. She ate. She did her thing. Like you said as well, we had Tiffany coming defend it, which I felt like that line that she said, like, I wasn't the same girl you bully me back then. I'm like, girl, I've learned it like 6 months ago. You literally got the, 5 months ago, exactly when you got the title from her. And then after that, 8 months ago, you've been under her as her bitch for 3 months. So like that line felt kind of flat. Like, hey, I was not the same girl. Like, if time has gone like 8 months from now, like for example, like from the beginning of January, or once she got the title to maybe August or November, that line would have felt more impactful. I feel like for me, it felt flat. Naomi and Jade interacting themselves with this. Look, Naomi, I get, because she deserved this.
Yeah.
For me, when it comes to Jade, I feel like I would have preferred, as a fan and critic, I would have preferred Jade went for the U.S. title, because it would have feel more dominant by showing her being as a single competitor, but also like we spoke about before, these mid-card titles was presented for a reason to help them go from point B, becoming the B player, and then becoming to the quarterback of how they go from the U.S. title, men or women, to the main title card of said division of either the World Heavyweight or the WWE title. That's the point of what the ICUS title is for male and female division. But for Jade to go straight there and Naomi's story now to intertwine now for Tiffany and Nia feels kind of a bit forceful into something. Now we have them having a tag match where Jade and Tiffany never worked together. And also Jade trying to do like, hey, this is my title now. It feels like something Rhea and Io and Bianca did, but those are three bigger stars with star power and wrestling skills. When it comes to Jade and Tiffany, like, I felt like it was trying to mesh into something together where I'm like, I don't know, it didn't work for me. But then having Naomi and Nia, which that was pretty cool because fans have been asking for them to work together a long time ago, because they are from their own version of the female bloodline. So for them, it kind of works in that aspect. So it's pretty cool to see them. They had actually good chemistry in the ring. So that's one thing I will give the point to the crowd. I mean, to the in wrestling work, they had good chemistry and everything. But by the end of the match, we already heard before the match even started that Jade and Nia already have a number one contender for the match. So adding that, it felt pointless. Why would he announce that before the match when you have Tiffany already as your tag team partner? I get it. It wants to stir the plot, but this is your first tag match together. How's this going to stir the plot when you guys don't even have a dynamic or relationship established? So it feels very flat. So I would have preferred that if that was announced at the end of the match where Jay could be like, oh, and Tiffany, we won the match, but I forgot to mention to you, me and Nia have a match next week. Not that I won my first match against Nia and I pinned her. I feel like my next match will be like a cake and I'll fight you soon. I'll see you better. Or, I mean, not see you better. I'll see you later. So I would have preferred something like that instead of spoiling it right before the match. So then by the end results, we knew Jay was going to win because it was either Jade or Nia, but it was going to be Jay because she's on her side with Tiffany. So you can already have the champion take a pin loss or loss in general. So that's what, like, the match was cool, but when there was no stakes involved, when we were already told what was the ingredients of the food and not the food that just got served, we're like, okay, I couldn't even try to figure it out. It felt flat.
Yeah, and now that you mention that, I almost forgot about how the show went off the air where you had Naomi raising the belt. So then that starts to question, like, okay, we have this number one contenders match between Jade and Nia Jax next week to see who gets a shot at Tiffany at, whatever they plan on doing this match. And now it makes you think, okay, isn't this whole thing with Naomi going to lead to something? Like, you're not going to just have her holding up the title to close off the show just to be like, oh, hey, she's just going to do this for this one time only, and we're not going to remember it next week. Like, obviously, that's going to dive into something, which is why I mentioned before. It's like, it almost seems to me that they might give it to Nia next week, but at the same time, just because these four girls are like just butting each other's heads at this moment, it almost makes me feel like they're going to turn it into some fatal four-way because they're trying to ingrain all of these girls at once with, whatever is revolving around Tiffany, which I'm just going to come out and say this. I admitted I was wrong when it came to the multi-man matches. Because, to be honest, a lot of them that we saw at WrestleMania were actually a lot better than some of the singles matches that we get. So I did take back what I said when we did the coverage of that. But I don't want this to be an ongoing thing every single week where we have multi-man match after multi-man match after multi-man match. Because it just becomes repetitive, and that tells me that you have no creative direction if you're just going to lump a group of people together just because they're button heads at this moment because you just want to put them on the match. Could the match be great? Sure. At the same time, I don't want it to be one of those cheat codes that you lock in. You're like, you know what? Let's throw this all together because we want to. And is there a reason behind it? No, we just want to do it. Like, I'm hoping this isn't an ongoing thing because I just noticed it lately. I mean, we have a similar thing going on with the U.S. title at Backlash. Not saying I'm against that match happening, but it's just something that I've noticed as of recent that's been a consistent theme with a lot of these matches we've been getting. Because don't get me wrong, I don't mind multi-man matches, but I've always been a fan of the one-on-one, especially when I'm playing my video games. It's me against the final boss, no help there. It just feels more organic that way. If there's someone integrated in the storyline where it makes sense, sure. But to me, I don't want it to be an ongoing thing where it's like, let's do this. Like, when it comes to Tiffany Stratton as the women's champion, obviously we're putting her in a position where she's going to be the future. And one of those first stepping stones, of course, the biggest hurdle was Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. She ended up beating her, which pretty much puts her on the map to, okay, this is the new world that I unlocked, that I'm able to travel through so I can discover all these secret areas or treasure chests. You get what I mean when it comes to that sort of analogy that I'm saying. Pretty much like Tiffany Stratton's next world to explore. I don't want it to be Tiffany Stratton against 4, Tiffany Stratton against 5. Like, I get it. for what's going on right here. But just future reference, I don't want it to be an ongoing thing that we do forever. That's all I'm going to say.
The one thing I will add to that before we move on to the next topic is that we're gonna get multi-man matches. I would prefer we get stakes involved. Cool.
Yeah.
But also don't reveal them. Like if we didn't hear, like a reason why I didn't care about the main event, because like I said, if once we heard Jade and Nia has a number one contender match, it would have worked. Maybe say, hey, this tag match, whoever wins and was, like, for example, if Jade won with Tiffany, Jade will get the number one contender. And then if Nia won, then she gets her or Naomi, and then they have to decide their chance. It would have been better if that was a stake. Like, hey, this tag match, you're involved with us because you got involved with all four of us, but you're part of the match. But Jade wins is cool. That would be more interesting if that was not spoiled to us. Because once I heard that, I'm like, all right, cool. I know the damn results already. Like, what's the point of the context without actually be thrilled to see? Either way, I love her four ladies. They did a good match for what was best for it. Again, if the match was actually good, let me know and be like, yo, Chad was wrong. I was biased. I was just annoyed because of fucking stupidity of releases and bad timing. That's on me. But tell me what's next, because I know you're upset about our main champion not here working. But except he's going to be 2 days next weekend, and there's going to be that Friday and Saturday he's returning for his match and doing promos with Randy.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about our main title picture, just like how we gave a shout out to Tiffany Stratton with what's going on with her from the women's side, about, what's going on with the men's side of things. And, Sweetie Pie, I did see what you said in the chat. We're actually going to be touching on that now when it comes to the world title picture surrounding Randy Orton. And pretty much Randy Orton tonight, he came out, he cut a promo, and I'm actually going to find the notes for the promo because I actually want to talk about what he said instead of, just going off the dome. Because one of the things I do like about Randy and Cody and a lot of other people is that if they're going up against somebody that's not necessarily there, not saying they have to be there all the time, they can carry their own and actually, continue telling the story, especially when it comes to Randy, who is known to have, this long feud with John Cena over the years. And the match itself is even being advertised as this when it comes to John Cena's farewell tour. But here we go. So I have the notes right here. So, where is it? So pretty much I'm going to read what he said right here, and then obviously we'll talk about it. So I have the notes right here. So if you see me reading, that's exactly what it is. Because I want to read Randy's promo, because if there was one thing I will pick out tonight that I do like, and it's kind of hard not to like this. I mean, it's Randy Orton. But pretty much, Randy Orton's music hits. He comes out to the ring. He hugs a child as he's walking down because, Randy, whenever he's coming out, like we've seen before in the past, he's signing, little figurines. He's signing belts. He's signing signs. He's the perfect baby face in this moment when he's going up against this heel John Cena. And we get a loud Randy chant from the crowd, which is to be expected because everybody loves Randy. It's hard not to like the guy. And Orton ends up calling out John Cena's name, and then the fans boo, of course, because of everything that John Cena is currently doing right now. And he says, while the world couldn't see him, Orton could. And it took about 20 years for everyone to realize what kind of man Cena is, but he knew from day one, Cena is arrogant and selfish. The fans ended up chanting, Cena sucks, which has been an ongoing theme ever since Cena turned heel. And Orton ends up saying that Cena is an entitled brat who gets whatever he wants. Cena is the ultimate shiny new toy to be played with by the ultimate puppet master. He says that Cena is smart. He took advantage of the PG era, and he was willing and eager to be real life walking, talking cartoon character, while Randy did everything that he could be the kind of person that he wanted to be as a WWE superstar. And then Orton ended up saying that Cena doesn't care about the boys in the back or the fans. All Cena cares about is his bottom line, which has brought him fame, fortune, and right to the mainstream. It allowed Cena to have every single month It enabled Cena that every single month he has a brand new color t-shirt, armband, wristband, sneakers, dog towels, dog tags, and towels on the merchandise stands. He wants to make sure that the fans love him even more than they already do. But speaking of the kids last week, Cena said that the reason why he never had kids or raised a family himself is because he was busy raising all of the kids in the audience. Randy ends up saying that Cena has raised the price of his merchandise, which the actual parents have to work double to afford, which I do have to say something about that. That merchandise is pretty fucking expensive. You know, those shirts are like fucking $45. Have you ever noticed that when you're going on the shop, those shirts are like $45 fucking dollars? I could probably buy myself like a new game or groceries or something, but you're spending like $45 on a shirt. I mean, come on, man. So
that's why I don't go to the shop, because just saying those prices just hurts my soul. Because I remember going online back in the day, it was $25 per shirt. And I'm like, that's reasonable price. You have graphic tees, but the $45 extra, like, yo, you guys are bugging. Nope.
Yeah. And he says that selling your soul is not a new concept since Cena has been doing it for 20 years. Also, loyalty and respect. He says he would give him the hustle all day, but the loyalty and respect, what happened to the loyalty and respect? He is asking because last week Cena stood in the ring and said he was going to erase the Orton name for the history books. He was going to erase everything his family did in the industry. He will not over his dead freaking body. Cena is not the last real world champion. He's the latest champion that has to be put down. And at Backlash in his hometown, in front of his wife and kids, he's going to punt kick him so hard and that Lego-shaped head off his shoulders and through the gateway arch. But not before he drops Cena with the 3 most dangerous letters in sports entertainment, RKO. So I wanted to just bring up Randy's promo because obviously the moral of the story here, based on everything that I said, this is somebody that knows Randy Orton very well. This is somebody that, like I mentioned, has been feuding with Cena over the years. It's kind of like a lot of these other guys in the company. You put Stone Cold and Austin in the ring, they know each other. You put Edge and Christian in the ring, they know each other. You put Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns in the ring, they know each other. So this is somebody that Randy Orton knows in the back of his head, and I really liked how, you know, he's pretty much talking about, you know, how he honestly feels about Cena, you know, ever since he took this turn, and just based on everything that he's seen of Cena over the years, almost like this was the message he was trying to tell us all along, but we really didn't start catching on until now. But after reading that promo, I honestly just want to, you know, come to you and say, like, what did you feel about what Randy said tonight to tell us, like, the next chapter of their story heading into Backlash?
I love what you said, like, the line of Randy when he said that hustle, loyalty, respect. He says he'll give him the hustle all day, but loyalty, the respect, what happened to loyalty and respect? He's asking because last week Cena stood in the ring, Cena's going to erase the Orton name from the history books, showing that Randy was a person that was never and always about legacy, but knowing now 25 years into the industry, knowing the remarks he has done, knowing the impact he has done, he has come to understanding like the legacy that his kids will get to see what his father has built, what his grandfather has built, and others. Like even us as content creators, we want to build a legacy of ourselves, that we want to see that other fans and creators that are watching us could be inspired from what we do and have the courage to go on in front of a camera, start a stream and do what we're doing, and just to discuss your passion and be upfront about it. That's one of the best type of emotional feelings that we as creators and humans we could do. So just to see Randy be emotional about like how you like express it, how you talking shit about you're gonna erase my family name from the history books, that we did this, we build pro wrestling, not just one generation, not just 2, 3 generations of pro wrestling, and that is impactful. That is something that anybody could be pissed off about, not just even in pro wrestling related, but anybody in a regular job that has been there for generation, like a local mom and pop shop, like all those things are something that anybody can relate to. So I love that you brought that up, because that's something that also kind of shocked me from Randy, but also how he was expressing it with the on camera, and you know his like those are always kind of hilarious to watch from him.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to agree from what we spoke about from what we spoke about behind the scenes about John Cena having, I believe, 26 or 27 appearance. So right now he's about to use 27, 26, or about to use 26, 25 next weekend.
Yep.
So it kind of sucks that, he cannot come every week, because if he does that, his appearance will be less now, and it's only on by key moments. But then when he appears, it has the pro and the con. The pro that makes his impactful when he appears, when it does, it will be emotional. But then the feud of the other people he does, it depends if they have good mic skills, good promo, that they can still feud with him without even being there. Because after we have Backlash, we have Money in the Bank in 5 weeks. So that means we're gonna have another build with said other person that we don't know yet until next Saturday that they come in, or the next following Friday. So it's just the build is what is very troublesome. So I get where you're coming from too, and that's the scary part. Randy, he could literally come out and did what he did. Did a promo, talk to us, give us a story, promo, and then leave and say, "Yo, song, come on," and walk out. That's good enough, but that's Randy. He has 25 years of experience. Not everyone in that locker room has that.
Yeah, it's like you can't really throw like some other guy outside of Randy Orton and have him do what Randy did tonight, especially someone who hasn't really been in the game for so long. That's why I understand why they're working with certain people. That makes sense. Like, for all we know, CM Punk could be the next match at Money in the Bank, considering the history that they have at that PLE as a whole. And if Cena's not there, at least Punk is able to carry his own, because Punk is known as one of the best talkers in the business. That's not even a debate. It's literally a fact. He's known to be one of the best talkers out there. But it's like, I can understand where it's like how some people feel like the match itself could be underwhelming when it comes to the match outside of the storytelling, because Randy and Cena, outside of a few exceptions like the I Quit match that they had, I can't remember exactly what year that was. It was like many years ago. But Randy and Cena haven't been known to have the best matches, because these were the kind of guys back then that feuded so much. It was almost at one of those points where it's like, okay, is it done? Is it over? It was like literally every single night, every single day. So they have their hits, they have their misses. So I can understand that argument and everything, which is honestly, I guess, why I'm so curious to see how it's going to work this time around. Because first off, Randy's in the game. He doesn't do what John does. And Randy's a lot bigger than John. And we've seen Randy do a lot of good matches, ever since he came back after his surgery. I'm just really curious to see how both of these guys are going to work a match that following Saturday when it comes to how things are going to play out there. But we do have John coming back next week, like Vash said, when it comes to the 26th day, being that Friday, to pretty much say whatever they have to say left before heading into that match at Backlash, where John Cena and Orton have that match there. So that's essentially what we got tonight when it comes to our world title pictures, when it comes to John Cena. The next thing that we are going to touch on is The Miz versus Aleister Black. And this was pretty much built on what we saw from last week, where Aleister Black made his return to the WWE, because just in case you guys have been living under a rock, Aleister Black was he wasn't released. His contract was up with AEW, and it was reported that he was going to be coming back to WWE, which makes sense because his wife is there. He probably wants to work alongside here, which is something I have noticed lately when it comes to how the script is for these SmackDown shows. Like whenever Aleister does something or whenever Zelina does something, it's always she comes out right after or he comes out right after, because right after his match, she had her match right after. So it's almost like she was waiting in gorilla after he came out to give her, like, a hug or kiss or whatever. But it's like this match is pretty much just built on, Miz coming out there venting, saying who he is, and Aleister gave him a black mask, knocked him out. We have this match. He comes out with Carmelo, and one of the things that I didn't like about this match, and it wasn't the match itself, because I felt like what Miz did here tonight He was trying to show off what he did, what he can do as a veteran in the business when it comes to how he could, operate around, how he could do certain things when it comes to whoever he's in the ring with and anything. The match itself wasn't bad because Aleister, he looks great and he's moving around very well too. You can tell that he is happy to be working in a WWE ring. Not saying I'm throwing shots at another company, but you can tell that he's really feeling the groove here. My main issue with this match, which is what I brought up to Vash, actually, not just what I brought up to Vash, what I actually brought up earlier in the show, is the crowd. The crowd is what pissed me off the most, because when it comes to the crowd, they can make the show. When it comes to them being involved with whatever's going on, if it's like a promo segment, if it's like a really intense match, the crowd, if they're showing off all of their energy and everything like that, they can really help the show, and us at home, if we're not there in person to watch the show with everybody in that audience, if we're looking at home, seeing the crowd alive, it makes us feel a different way when it comes to everything that's happening. My issue with this is the fact that you have this guy coming out and he has the whole package. He has his entrance from NXT Black and Gold, the way where he comes out with the candles. He got his OG theme song back. He has the whole presentation there. He's coming out. He's not getting as much of a reaction. I'm not blaming him because he's doing his job. He's not doing anything wrong. He's playing in line with how his theme is supposed to be and how he's supposed to be coming out towards the audience. But I'm not that big of a fan when it comes to how the crowd's reacting. It's not like this guy's boring or anything, but they're not really involved. It's almost like dead silence. And it's like I mentioned to you, Vash, that these past couple weeks, ever since we came out of that Vegas crowd from WrestleMania, these crowds have been like really awkward when it comes to them either being quiet, cheering or booing certain people, which, you have every right to boo and cheer who you want, but it's just been feeling weird because it's almost like you're paying your hard-earned money to be in this spot, but you're not really involving yourself to feel the energy of being at a wrestling show. Because if you're at home, you're just watching it, sitting on the couch, enjoying seeing your favorite people come in here and there, but it just seemed like really dry when it came to what was going on, not just in this match between Aleister and The Miz, but with a lot of other things in the show. Like, how do you personally feel about that?
So the crowds is a piece of shit. I'm gonna be honest. I agree with Drop. The crowds suck. Over the past couple weeks, they've been very wonky after Vegas, and Vegas as a crowd has always been heel side. They always like the chaos. You're in a city that's all about chances, about gambling, makes sense. So you want to take the bigger shot. But when it comes to this match of The Miz and Aleister Black, I would say it was a good match. It was entertaining in the aspect of how Aleister Black, he didn't sell the kicks of the yes kicks for The Miz. There was a beautiful The Miz was trying to do a special on him, and Aleister Black did a counter where he got him beautiful kick in the face by Aleister Black. It was a beautiful transition from both of them, but the crowd did not pop loud enough to actually make the match more entertaining. And I was very disappointed about that, John, because I know that Aleister Black is huge. They also even highlighted that he has not been in a WWE ring in 5 years. They also told us the fucking exact dates. It was like 2,193 dates. So those kind of felt like very random numbers to actually give that extra detail of. But it was still kind of like, sure. What was very kind of awkward, how this match first started, it was The Miz and Carmelo Hayes in the backstage right before Gorilla and before they did the little one take shot. It was that The Miz being highlighted that he's been here for 20 plus years and he hasn't missed a beat. and he hasn't been released like Aleister Black, you could see the Miz face his expression change while he was talking about that. Like, wrong time, wrong place to really talk about this right now. From what the recent news, aka what we're talking about, the soon is actually talking about. So like the Miz saying that he caught himself, so it's kind of like awkward. But then we transition to the match, like Drop said, and like I just said, the match was good for what it was. Again, the match could actually be greater if the crowd was actually better. Drop, I have a question. Did you like the ending that we got from Aleister Black winning? Logically, makes sense for him and his return to continue going. But then him and Carmelo Hayes locking in eyes to maybe have a match in the future. And then from there, hopefully Carmelo Hayes takes that win over Aleister Black, because it will really pull him well and have that one over the Miz as well.
See, I'm gonna come out and say this. I do like the tease with the match with Aleister Black and Carmelo Hayes, but I don't see Melo winning this, because this is another guy that you're bringing back. You want to build up momentum for him. I don't see Carmelo going over Aleister Black, because if you noticed as of recent, when it comes to a lot of these guys coming back in the company to reinvent themselves, putting themselves on a path so they could pretty much be a lot better when it comes to their first time here, before they went on to AEW, did their thing over there and came back, especially since he's getting the whole package, because he could have just came out with like a regular Death Rebel theme song and they weren't any special treatment here. He's literally getting his whole package that he had during the Black and Gold days from NXT. So he's getting that special treatment for a reason, because Triple H wants him to be presented a certain way when he goes out there and he interacts with the crowd, just to show like, okay, this guy's a pretty big deal. Because you don't have any other ordinary guy coming out there where you have candles in the beginning of the entrance. You have him rising up like he's rising out of a casket, like Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th. I think it was part 6, where he got electrocuted by that electric rod, and Jason comes back and he's zombie Jason. And you have that big moment in the beginning that cut to the whole opening sequence of Jason Lives. That's essentially like what Aleister Black had here. It's him rising from the coffin, walking down the ramp, heading into the ring to have a match with whoever he has. I feel like this is like a similar situation that I have noticed of Rusev as well. We have this match taking place of Otis pretty much building up Rusev as a character again, and then more than likely the next person after that's going to be Aizawa, and then from there you can see, okay, where are they going beyond this? I feel like when it comes to a match that I'm most invested in, I would probably say Melo and Aleister Black, because I feel like they could really bring the best out of each other. Not saying a Miz is bad by any means. I'm not the biggest Miz fan, I'll come out there and say this, but I do appreciate what he does every so often. But the Aleister Black versus Carmelo Hayes match that more than likely we could be getting next week, I am very interested in. And it could go two ways. It could be Aleister Black winning. There could be some interference to protect both guys. But I don't know if you really want to pull that card every single time. But it's definitely very intriguing to see something like this. But it's just hard for me to look at Melo getting the win over somebody like Aleister Black, because one of the things that I'm not sure that you knew about, the Black Mass, which is his finisher, where he does that kick and it's pretty much like you got like one of those pressure points. It's almost like you hit a certain pressure point on your body and you're out. That's essentially what the Black Mass is. The Black Mass, once you hit that finisher, it's just like the End of Days that Baron Corbin had, or when it comes to wrestlers' finisher as a whole, because there's a lot of wrestlers' finishers that are protective to make them look like, okay, this is legit. Once you hit this move, you're not getting up. That's how the Black Mass has been portrayed for the longest time. So if he hits Melo with one of those, Melo's is out. And I just really feel like, based on what we're seeing here so far, that we're probably going to get like a good run with him this time, just based on the presentation alone. But
Same.
we'll see
I
how
hope
things go with this.
I hope he goes for the U.S. title. I hope he doesn't go straight into the John Cena, because it's
Oh,
gonna
no,
be
no, no,
like,
no, no.
hey,
Yeah, I don't
so,
want that.
like, I hope he goes for the U.S. title. I hope he does his own type of singles run. Do what he gotta do. I like the flip kick that he did. I saw again on my timeline when like he's so athletic. He's so fucking
Yeah.
athletic. I definitely need to see old matches of him
Oh, yeah.
because
If you
he
want
did
to
a
watch
move.
one match from him that I
Um,
highly recommend, watch the matches that he's had with Johnny Gargano during the NXT Black and
Copy, we
Gold
could
days.
definitely could we could do a little watch party of those. Have a little
Mm-hmm.
plan, watch or event that I could, but that's something we could do behind the scenes. But what I was leading up to is he went for the Miz being outside of the barricade. I mean, outside the ropes. And then we have Aleister Black jumping in to the rope, and the Miz dodges, and Aleister Black fucking flips. He
Yeah.
catches himself in the middle and just goes cross on the legs and sits down. And
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, that's some athletic, good aiming acrobats. Really impressed by that. It sucks the match couldn't get enough pop and action when it deserved a lot more that it should have. Because SmackDown, well, like I believe this match was a 10-minute match, and it didn't feel like it.
Yeah.
This match was 9 minutes 25 seconds, and it felt like it was a 5-minute match because again, biased because of me and Drop, we had it as background noise. I wasn't paying attention fully. Again, if this match was actually much better than expected,
Yeah.
I wish I saw him more.
Yeah.
But hey, it was good overall.
Yeah. I will say, out of a lot of the stuff that we did get tonight, this was one of the ones I kept my eye on, only because I'm trying to keep my eyes on how they're presenting him with his return. So out of everything that did transpire tonight, this was one of the things that I made sure I had my eyes on when it comes to, okay, Aleister's out here. Let's see what they do with him tonight. But the next thing that I do want to talk about is the Santos Escobar match versus Rey Fenix. And essentially what's currently going on with Rey Fenix and Santos Escobar, it's pretty much leading him down a certain direction where, Rey Fenix is just, stuck in a rabbit hole, not knowing where to go. Santos is trying to take control of the situation, trying to tell him to do this, trying to tell him to do that. And they go out there, they have a match, and it went around 12 minutes and 25 seconds, which I was, some reason I felt like it went on a little bit longer than that, because I remember I did something in the meantime, and I came back and this match was going on still. Like, it almost felt like, to me, just based on what I saw tonight, and I could be wrong, it could have felt completely different, but based on how I felt tonight about this match, it felt like it went on for like a good 15 to 20 minutes. I don't know why it felt like that. It just felt like it went on for a lot longer than what it says right here, 12 minutes and 25 seconds. But this was a good match to showcase what Rey Fenix can do, obviously pushing him, showing him what he's capable of, pretty much putting him down that path that it was with Penta, just building him up, trying to have him get over organically, which is a smart move where you pair them together. And I also like the little thing that he mentioned in the back, and it was kind of similar with what Penta did on Monday, where he mentioned the Lucha Bros. You had something with Rey Fenix mentioned tonight where there's
You're
only
not my brother.
Yeah, there's only one person that he trusts, and we obviously know that's Penta that he's referring to. He didn't outright say his name, but if you know the history between these guys and you know that they're both brothers, which they came out and said numerous times when it comes to little video clips or getting Penta's reaction when it comes to Rey Fenix's match at WrestleMania, saying how, he's happy for his brother and everything along the lines of that. You obviously know that we're slowly getting into that, probably sometime this year. But this match was fun, showcasing what these guys are capable of, showing Santos Escobar actually having some screen time to have a match, which is very rare nowadays, as normally his guys going out there doing things rather than him doing things himself. And he's pretty much leading himself in this situation where his buddies are going to be leaving him soon to align themselves with Andrade, because Andrade is pretty much trying to tell them what's going on, so their eyes kind of open where they're like, holy shit, maybe you're right. Because you even saw like in the backstage segment where it took Berto a little bit to like go with Santos after they were having that whole entire conversation
Yep.
back. And I feel like honestly, this might be a smart decision for what they're currently doing with Andrade, so you can give him something to work with on SmackDown, because based on what he did with Carmelo and LA Knight all those months ago, there really hasn't been anything that really pops out that you can remember. Because you think of Andrade coming back at that Royal Rumble next year, the only thing that really stood out throughout that entire year itself was whatever he was doing with Melo and LA Knight, or just him and
Yeah,
Melo.
Game 7.
Outside of that, that was it. So the fact that you could have Berto and I forgot the name of the other guy on the top of my head, but it's like the fact that you could have those two align with him, you could give them a new direction along with Andrade. I feel like that's smart, because a lot of the things that the fans are asking for is for, you know, Andrade to do something new, something captivating on television. And I feel like that would be a smart move for them to align themselves with Andrade, so we could see exactly what is going to come out of this. And it also gives us a new direction for Santos too, because Santos hasn't really been doing anything that mind-blowing as well.
Look, I love that you said this because one, this was my favorite segment of the night. You know why? Because Drop, I'm a fan of fucking Andrade. I like when he did Game 7. I just like the way he wrestles. He's a good luchador style wrestler. He does all this, I believe, in pants and I believe some dress shoes or with boots on. And it's just really dope to see him do what he does. He has a good hustle. He has a good pop last year at the Money in the Bank. And then following after that, Game 7 with Carmelo. And again at the Andre the Giant showcase this past SmackDown 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago by now. So everything was great for Andrade. But I also would have loved for him to get the right push he deserved. And to see him just being this type of sneaky person trying to take La Garza away from somebody else not doing the best investment or managing, I like that. He's catching like, yo, look, think. Do what's best for you. I'm not saying you gotta follow me, but all I'm saying is do what works for you. And if it works out coming to my end, hey, those are better. I can help you to get to where you is, to the promised land. And I love that. I'm a genuine fan to see where Andrade goes. And I like that you brought up Ray Phoenix said the only person I trust is my brother. And I fuck with that. I love how they're not really playing on the nose, but like we both said, like we know who the fuck he's talking about. We know it's you, Penta. So I just love how they're both mentioning each other. I can't wait until we find out their like interaction. Like, mi hermano, tanto tiempo que no lo visto. It's such a long time I haven't seen you. So just seeing that one another compassion once we see that on screen, it'll be exciting. The match was pretty cool. I will say this: the match by Santos and with Ray Phoenix. The only thing that's disappointing is that there was no pop for Santos. There's a bit of pop for Ray Phoenix, but no pop for Santos.
Yeah.
Even commentary was trying to make him highlight to something bigger than he is. Even talking about that he is the luchador of Empire and everything. I'm like, even I don't believe you, and I'm trying to hope for it because I like Santos. But right now, this heel work and everything is not working for him. Best of luck into what he does. But it doesn't work for him right now. I'm hoping maybe if he becomes himself and become a single competitor, and hopefully he puts on so much better type of match in the future, it might work out more. But the most investing out of this was Andrade. I'm a fan of him, and that's what I like. So hopefully he keeps telling me, yo, pay attention. Pay attention. If you wanna fuck with me, I fuck with you. Come do my thing here.
Yeah.
Hopefully so.
And this is one of the things that's very important about having a moniker in wrestling. When it comes to the American Nightmare, Cody lived up to that. When it comes to the Tribal Chief, Roman lived up to that. When it comes to being the Viper, the Legend Killer, Randy Orton lived up to that. So if you want to call Santos the Escobar, the Empire, you need to have him live up to that moniker. Otherwise, if you have that moniker, you're not adding any value to it. It's just a name. You want to feel like some sort of, I guess, reaction when you hear that name. It's like, yeah, we've seen Santo do a lot of crazy things before, and this is why he's known to be this, because he's leading the charge. That's what an emperor is known to be, leading the charge, being this powerful foe that's hard to take down. But I'm hoping and praying they have something with him, because it's like I mentioned, I'm not gonna get into it too much, but he had a good heel turn like a year and a half ago, and they didn't really capitalize on it too much.
Yeah.
So hopefully they have some sort of thing with Santos, which actually leads me to our next discussion when it comes to Zelina Vega, when it comes to our mid-card picture for the women's division on SmackDown, because this is our Women's United States Championship picture, where we had Zelina go up against Piper Niven. And this wasn't a U.S. title match. This was just a regular match. And according to Cage Match, just looking at the times, this match was around 11 minutes and 10 seconds, which I get what they're trying to do here. They're trying to show off Zelina as the champion, trying to have her go out there, get a couple reps so, she looks dominating as a champion. My only issue with this match, which is probably going to be an ongoing theme based on what I said earlier, and it's also included in our notes as well, Zelina won the match. She was able to get the job done, but there was no pop for her at all. And one of the things that really needs to change, and we brought this up, and Watkins isn't here, but we've also talked about this with him as well. We got to really work on this theme music, because I cannot stand these theme music that comes out. And I don't know if you actually heard, there's supposed to be a report where Def Rebel's supposed to be helping UFC come up with some themes, which, holy shit, I can only imagine how that's going to turn out when it comes to how they're going to orchestrate that. But I want to bring up something that JD, which shout out to him that he brought this up a little while ago, where he even said something about Zelina's theme as well. Because have you noticed, Vash, that Zelina's theme literally sounds like the SmackDown theme song, or like basically like the instrumental with like a few words thrown in there? One of the things that I would say that would probably work well in her favor, and this has always been a thing when it comes to wrestlers, is to create a theme that showcases the personality of the wrestler. Not just go out there, throw out a song, and call it a day. Like, look at who Zelina is. She loves anime. She's into a lot of Japanese culture, things along the lines of that. You could easily tap into that domain, take some things out of there to showcase her personality. So when you hear the beginning instrumentals of her song, you'll know who that is when she's coming out. Not saying she needs to have like an anime theme song or anything along the lines of that, but at least tap into that domain so you could fully get that sort of feel with Zelina when she comes out. I mean, look at her husband. Her husband has a complete package when it comes to his presentation. We know who he is. He represents what his theme song is, because just like the wrestler itself, one of the key themes that really helps you is your theme song, because that helps people know who you are, and that's what people are going to remember when you come out when it comes to that overall presentation. But it's like, she's got no pop. This is your Women's United States champion. What are we doing here when it comes to Zelina as champion? Because she's earned this. She's busted her ass off to be in this position. I was a huge advocate for this when it comes to her getting a shot at this title, because this has been something she's been chasing for so long, getting her first singles title. So I'm hoping they do a little something here with her, because she has come a long way, and just seeing her do a match for like almost 12 minutes and then not really getting any sort of reaction with this, like, this is something that we really need to work on. And we're going to touch on these releases a little bit later that also ties into what I'm talking about here, but I'm not going to talk about it now. I'll save it once we touch on our main thing to really end off the show. But this is something that we really need to structure, because you created these titles for a reason. Have Zelina do something with it that you want to expand on what Chelsea did.
Look, what drops our foot is support 100%. You know what? Zelina, she had a great week. She took pictures. She promoted her title. She took a picture of the motorcycle. She went to the World Trade Center. and show her father who lost his life in the 9/11 accident, and she also FaceTime her mom, showing how this is such an impactful moment for her and all the work she has done and built over the couple of years. All that is sunshine and roses and beautiful in the story of Zelina Vega. But I want to see in-ring ability being presented. One, I 100% agree with Drop. The music fell flat. Because, girl, Drop, did you see her dancing? Who did that remind you of? Who did that remind you of in a different company of her dancing?
Oh, I know. Yeah.
CEO. She did as was doing the dance and the little 1-2 step. She like 1-2 step, and then she realized that after like 5-6 seconds, she realized like, oh shit, I caught myself doing the CEO dance. Which again, people need to remember that they're friends. Just because people think that there's a anger promotion company of a rival of AEW versus WWE, Mercedes, Zelina, Bailey, all these girls are probably still friends behind the scenes, and they have been there. So, relating to that, when it comes to this match, Zelina Vega and Piper Niven, Drop, did you know? I didn't give a fuck, because why did we need it? Why did Nick Aldis come out and said when Chelsea Green came to the back, because I believe it was Mitchin, because we could also add this, since we're not going to have any quick fire segment, we could just add this to the show as well, that Mitchin and BFAB was in the back before this match started, that we had a segment about them saying they want to go for the tag titles for Liv Morgan and Raquel. But then I'm like, yo, Liv Morgan's going to take a whole month vacation because she's going to start filming very soon, or she has gone already. I believe those are the reports. So right now, how can you represent the title match? And now there's theories that the tag team title division don't even exist now, because most of the people that were tag team people are not even fucking here. Which, don't worry, chat, we're gonna bring that up again very fucking soon. So it's like, how can you have these two people in the back talking about opportunities when these titles might not even exist a month from now or 2 months from now? So who the hell knows? But we will add more thoughts about that very soon. And then relating to that, we have Chelsea Green coming out with Piper Niven and Alba Fire. Yeah. But then Nick Aldis said, yeah, I'm going to give you a match. Not a rematch yet, Chelsea Green, because that's what you want. I'm going to give it to your friend, Piper Niven. So if she gets to win, she gets a number one contender match for Chelsea Green. I mean, for Zelina Vega. It fell so flat because we knew Zelina Vega was not going to lose, because she's literally 8 days into her win. Why the hell would she lose on her first day title defense when you're going to hype her up this match?
Yeah, exactly.
So my hope that she gets to do more with this title. She looks great in it. She looks good. She has good in-ring ability. She has a pop when she does her the Six Amigos, I believe it's called. I had a brain fart. I believe it's called Six Amigos. But I want to see more in the story aspect and pop for her. Like Drop said earlier, 2 segments ago, hopefully it's just the crowd where we are right now. Hopefully when we go back to New York or any other place, it will be a bigger pop. Oh, please, can we go in August? Because in August, we're going to go back in Europe. I need my Europe crowd to hype this shit up once again.
Yeah, we really need to figure out what we're doing here, because it's like, you want these superstars to get a good presentation when they come out, and I'm hoping and praying we get some sort of insight on what's going on with the whole music situation, because I feel like what I talked about before, tapping into more of her personality comes to the anime thing that she likes, video games, things along the lines of that. If you tap into that and you show off her personality with a theme song like that, it would probably feel more natural, and that goes for a lot of other people in the company as well. Like, if they actually do get the license to certain songs, get Bailey, Paramore, like, do certain things that help these superstars feel established, where it's like, you're not like Seth Rollins during WrestleMania 40, where he's sitting up there in the crowd wondering who the hell is coming out during that Rumble, when he's like scratching his head, he sees the names, like, oh, okay. Yep. Like, we got to do something there, because that's also something outside of the in-ring that definitely hurts a superstar's presentation when it comes to a lot of these goofy songs, because I get tired of hearing like my name is so and so and then the song starts. Like we're not here for that kind of things. It seems like very cheesy. It seems like really out of line. And I'm hoping we can move away from that, but I am hoping that we have some sort of mindset when it comes to the mid-card situation, which, like I said, I'll touch on that a little bit more later. But the next thing I want to tap into is Pretty Deadly versus Fraxiom. And just in case you guys didn't know, Fraxiom officially got called up to SmackDown last week when it came to the SmackDown after WrestleMania, which was the same SmackDown that we got Aleister Black as well. And Fraxiom, like they said in the backstage segment when they were talking with Pretty Deadly, they ran the tag team division in NXT, which is legit. And a lot of people argue, and I can't really blame them, that they're one of the best tag team right now in wrestling, just based on their work ethic alone, just based on what they really brought to the table for us. And I'm really hoping and praying that they get to that level where they need to be on SmackDown, because I don't want to just see that magic on NXT. I want to see that magic transcend beyond what we saw in NXT to SmackDown as well, because you got DIY on there, you got Garza on there, which they faced last week. You have, Street Profits, which I would hope is a match in the works, because I feel like the four of those guys can really put on a good match with one another.
There's that Machine Gun.
Yeah, the Motor City Machine Gun. So it's like you have a proper tag division right here. So I'm really hoping they get treated well. But when it comes to the match itself, it was fun. They were showcasing what they are made of, and they're pretty much, continuing down that stride when it comes to them being a dominant tag team. I mean, this is honestly the best thing you can really say about the match. If you ever seen a Fraxiom match, you usually know how things go when it comes to the in-ring action, when it comes to what they do inside the ring and outside the ring, which was, just very entertaining as a whole when it came to what was transpiring tonight. But
I would say that I feel bad for Elton Prince, I believe.
Oh yeah, he got busted open, right?
Yeah, he got busted open.
I didn't notice it, but I heard a report. Yeah, I heard people mention that. I did not catch it at first glance. I did notice people talking about
that. I caught it because when he got up, for anybody that was already mad online, but if you didn't catch it yourself, that he was supposed to take out his arm, but he was too distracted from his busted open chin, that the ref, just went, sliding my hand in, two. But I'm like, he didn't put his body up. But then when he turned his face to the camera, this whole chin was red. And I'm like, wait, what's going on there? And then went back. And then I think a minute later, I believe Fraxiom won. And the match was good, by the way. I do want to state that this was a good 10-minute match. It could have been longer for a good 15 minutes. Pretty Deadly and Fraxiom was really solid in this match. Sadly, I didn't fully hook in because this was the first hour of SmackDown. So I was still kind of salty as fuck. I texted Drop in the group chat like, yo, I have a sour taste in this. I have a sour taste in my mouth to watch the show. And this is the first hour, so I was not really paying attention to Fraxiom versus Pretty Deadly. But the parts I saw, it was really hot speed. The match was not saying aggressive, but it was back and forth. It really shows you how with Fraxiom, like Job said, that they can take over the division, just like Machine Gun did when they first came for the first 6 weeks. They had match after match. They will still talk of the conversation within the five groups that was going back and forth, like Street Profits, DIY, Machine Gun, Los Garza, and I believe one other team. So it was always going back and forth. Now we're Pretty Deadly still being involved with Fraxiom. I know they're gonna put on some magic. I know we're gonna see a Fraxiom versus Street Profits very soon. Maybe during Money in the Bank. And Money in the Bank match between Street Profits versus Fraxiom. That will cook beautifully.
Oh yeah, that would actually be a pretty good match if we were to get it there. I mean, I definitely feel like we're building some sort of momentum to get that tag team opportunity, like that match opportunity to go up against the Street Profits. I definitely feel like that's the long game that we're looking for here. So I'm definitely interested to see what's gonna come out of that. So
But best of luck for Elton Prince. I want you to feel better. Hopefully it goes, because I know the most recent person that also got a busted chin open was, I believe, I believe it was Ciampa,
yeah,
a couple weeks ago, right before WrestleMania after SmackDown. So hopefully, yeah, just be careful with your chins out there. That's all I want to say. But go ahead, continue.
yeah. So the last thing we're gonna touch on before we get into our, big talking point towards the end was how we opened up the show tonight when it comes to Damian Priest versus LA Knight. Because pretty much what happened with SmackDown tonight, we had LA Knight start off the show and he was pretty much coming out there talking about his current status, where he is as of now, and he pretty much blames Damian Priest for him not being where he needs to be when it comes to getting his US title back. And we had both of them coming back and forth, pretty much just talking shit to one another, and this ended up leading into a match where these guys were going at each other. And for the match itself, it was pretty good. I always enjoy what LA Knight brings to the table. Same thing with Damian Priest as well. So I thought they really worked well together when it came to certain spots that took part within the match itself. But then we ended up having Solo and Jacob Fatu interrupt the match, and then it ended up turning into a fatal four-way match that's going to end up taking place at Backlash, where it's going to be Damian Priest versus LA Knight versus Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest versus Jacob Fatu at Backlash for the title itself. And we also have a match next week where it's like Damian Priest and LA Knight, I believe, versus Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. And yeah, I mean, again, I will say that the mid-card division on SmackDown, when it comes to the US title, at least on the men's side, looks pretty promising, because you got a lot of key players there with LA Knight, Damian Priest, and Drew McIntyre. So just looking at that, it looks good as of now. But other than that, that's honestly all I really have to say about this last talking point of the show.
All right, so I just thought about two things. One, I agree with everything that Job said, because this match was pure chaotic in the best way. Damian Priest and LA Knight, yeah, they actually had a great promo between one another.
Yeah.
I was very shocked that they started the show. Not saying it's a bad thing, guys, but I was very impressed that two superstars that are not main eventers like Cody Rhodes, John Cena, or Randy, but LA Knight, who could still hold a presence, and Damian Priest, who also is a babyface that is loved by the fans, are opening the show. Very happy as a fan. They were supposed to be the main event of the show tonight, seems like it, but they still started out the show. Pretty cool. Maybe things changed because the releases. They'll be like, yo, I'm emotional distraught tonight. I cannot end the show. I'm going to be gone. We need to do this now. Many possibilities of what is true or what is not. But just to see the match happen was really good. It was really intense to see two type of baby faces go one another. I like that Jacob Fatu and Solo continue doing their own thing. Jacob Fatu, you are a menace. Fucking just throwing one of them, I forgot, I believe was LA Knight, to the announce table, just flipping him there, and then doing the butt smash against Damian Priest to the barricade. And that was a wild one, because the way this man be running, it reminds me of Braun Breaker Spears, but instead of Spears, it'd be the butt hits. I'm like, damn. What the follow-up is, I know who is John Cena next opponent for Money in the Bank. It's possibility LA Knight. Because after this, we have to think about Drew, Damian Priest, and LA Knight losing for the US title. Because we know, thanks to Solo, because it was originally going to be a triple threat. but Solo was trying to defend, but the bites came back for him. But Nick Aldis said, "Yo, I'm not screwing Jacob Fatu. You are Solo." And Solo's still quiet. So there are questions to be. Is Solo going to betray Jacob Fatu in the future? Time will tell. But I like that we're getting a Fatal 4. People already putting theories on the timeline that this match is going to cook tonight. I mean, not tonight, but that night. That match is going to be amazing. It's going to be a Fatal 4 with great opponents going one at each other. A big meaty man going one at each other. However, that since we know Drew's gonna lose, he might continue with this feud right now with Jacob and what's going on for the mid card. I don't think he's gonna go first for John Cena. I know he's gonna go there eventually. Damian Priest as well, but I think the first one is gonna be LA Knight because he could have a good promo against John Cena, and he doesn't have to be there. I believe LA Knight could do without him at the first go. That's also my theory for the next PLE, which is, I believe, Money in the Bank after Backlash.
Yeah, it's very possible if they want to head down that direction for the match. We just got to see what transpires post Backlash, because I feel like during Backlash itself, we could get our answer there when it comes to what the next direction is going to be, or that following SmackDown. We're just going to have to wait and see what comes out of that. But with SmackDown out of the way now, when it comes to our thoughts on the show, now it's time to, talk about the releases that happened. Because, like I mentioned earlier, before we started off the stream and everything, this was one of the things that me and Vash were paying attention to when the show was going on. Because there was a lot of releases happening when it comes to certain superstars being released tonight, and this was an ongoing thing before SmackDown and during the show itself. And I feel like this isn't the end of it too. I feel like we might get some more tomorrow. Not saying I want that, but it's just been a certain pattern that I noticed when it comes to what's going on between what we saw last time, like earlier in January, where it's like it started on a Friday, it happened throughout that Saturday, and you had like a little bit of names on that Sunday. So I feel like for all we know, I can wake up tomorrow morning and another name pops up. But I have the list. Do you have the tweet?
Yeah, I do have the tweet.
In the chat? Okay,
yeah.
So
just real quick, just to add quick thoughts towards what Drops just mentioned as well. I would like to say best of luck to any and everybody like Dijak, the Indie God, Matt Cardona, and a few other of superstars said this is only the beginning. Choose your trial, choose your next step, choose next path, whatever it may be. If you're not a fan, don't need to say you're not a fan. If you're a fan of them, support them, put your word out, preach for them, buy their merch if you can. Don't force yourself wherever you need to. Share, like the video. If they have a reel, if they have a promo, share their post, like it, because that's the best way to support these indie wrestlers now that they're going into these next endeavors. Don't judge them for the next opportunities, whatever they do. It won't say the actual full name, but OF or any other things, don't judge them. Just let them do what there is for the next endeavor. So I want to put that out. And also one final disclaimer from what Job said in the beginning of the show. I would like to repeat it again. Do not put any and all the fucking blame to the man, Triple H. Let this man breathe once again. He is the head of creative. He doesn't make the financial discussions and or the whole budget cuts all the damn time. He may be the husband and father of with Stephanie McMahon and everything, but they're not part of the board. They don't make these type of decisions. So just because he's part of the creative, also Shawn Michaels as well, because you have to understand these guys are the bookers. Why would they fire the people in the middle of storytelling, in the middle of things that are being told in stories within the main roster or NXT going on? Sometimes it's horrible, bad timing, and at times they have to pivot. So I want to put this quick emphasis of these couple highlighted things before we get into full conversation. Please chat, get involved with us, comment down below your thoughts or on the stream, because we'd love to hear your opinions, because trust me, you will hear ours. So some of them We may be pissed off. Others also be aware we don't know them too well to give any thoughts on what the future could hold for them. So that's also one last thing. Job, please take it away. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up about the whole situation itself before we dive into this, because
Yes.
I notice a lot of people online are pointing fingers without really diving
So
in and
many.
understanding the situation at hand. So I'm glad that little disclaimer was brought up before we get into the overall discussion. But we have this tweet being that was brought up by Sean Ross Sapp, who is one of the members of Fightful that helps run the whole organization that usually gives us a lot of our wrestling news. But he pretty much posted a tweet letting us know all of the releases as of now when it comes to the superstars that were released tonight. And what me and Vash are going to be doing here is I'm going to be reading off a name. I'll give my thoughts on it. I'll pass it on to Vash to hear his thoughts on it as well. And obviously, if there is a few on here that we're not going to have as much to say, we'll still touch on them, because I feel like I do know a good chunk of these people, because I do keep up with the main roster and NXT, because there was NXT releases tonight. But I'm going to start off with Shayna Baszler. So Shayna Baszler was one of the names that was released from WWE tonight. And you guys probably knew that she was a part of the what was it? The
Pure
Pure-
Fusion Collective.
yeah, she was a part of the Pure
I believe.
Fusion Collective, where she was aligned with Zoe Stark and Sonya Deville. And obviously you knew
Yes.
around February, I recall, Sonya Deville was released. And then as of now, we know that Zoe Stark is still there. But Shayna Baszler was pretty much just stuck in the mud with that for a little bit. She had a great run in NXT when it comes to her dominance being showcased there. And she never really had that opportunity to really run with it when she was on the main roster. She had 2 opportunities to really hit a home run when it came to her really launching her career to the next level, but unfortunately wasn't able to take off based on the booking that they were doing with her when she was on the main roster. And when it comes to what I'm referring to, it was her match with Becky Lynch at that WrestleMania, which I think it was WrestleMania 37, if I recall. I know it was around the Thunderdome era, around the COVID period, where she had some things that could have really branched off from there, because she was working with Becky Lynch. And then, of course, what transpired between her and Ronda Rousey that happened at that SummerSlam that really could have launched her the next level as well. Because I remember around that time, and this was before the Pure Fusion Collective thing, before it was ever a thing, where people really starting to get behind her, because not that many people really were all into what Ronda was doing at the time. And this is when Ronda was, leaving the company around SummerSlam. Around that time, that was pretty much her last match. So that match itself was pretty much like a passing of the torch moment, where Ronda Rousey was going to pass the torch to Shayna Baszler to pretty much run with it at that point. But Shayna Baszler was somebody that even Watkins has brought up on the show before, where she had the potential to become one of those main eventers in the women's division when it comes to where Rhea and Bianca and Io and all these other ladies are when it comes to a lot of these main eventers in the division. She had the potential to get there, but due to the booking that she was given around that period, she really wasn't able to really showcase what she was all about here. And that's one of my issues with this. She had potential, but it's one of the things I would say that I mentioned in one of my video titles. She had untapped potential, where it's like the potential was there. She had things you really could have went with, but they never really fully took that opportunity to really launch her into something where I knew she could be.
Look, I will say as a fan of her and what she's done, because you literally mentioned everything that I would have brought up, and it's very disappointing that she got released. Like, not saying that I don't want nobody to pick and choose, but for you to release Shayna Baszler over Zoe Stark or keeping others when you have her as an NXT champion. She had her build a few NXT superstars in the underground matches. Lola Vice.
Oh,
Yeah, Lola Vice have a feud with Shayna Baszler as the next version of a groundhog person, like a person that could just be strong and be powerful like Shayna and be their own person that's brutal. And then you're just gonna drop something like that. It just falls flat. Like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just very disappointing. Like, honestly, with Shayna Baszler, and I felt bad. Sorry, chat. I'm not gonna pull it up right now, but I believe her tweet says something between the lines of, "For the next person that wants me, you like my power or my vision is limitless, and like you cannot offer what I could offer on the table." Like that, it just shows like she knows her worth. She knows what she could do. She knows her promo. She knows what she could be done. But sucks that she don't get the spotlight, and that's very disappointing.
Yep. And the next one we're going to be touching on, according to the list now, is Dakota Kai. And this one hits hard because I believe this is probably the first one I set in our chat on our server when it comes to a lot of the releases tonight. This was definitely the first one I saw before the rest of them. And I believe when we heard about these roster cuts coming soon, we did mention she could be one of those people. Not saying we wanted it. Don't flip our words and make it sound like we
were
wanted
prepared.
that to happen.
We were prepared, like she might be one of them. And we're like, nah, I hope not. It might be. Like, that's why I chose this background to represent like Damage Control. I'm a fan of Damage Control. I'm a fan of their group. And just to see Dakota, like her curls, I believe I shouted her out. I believe a couple weeks ago, and just to see her curls, like I have a wife who's Dominican Black, and she talks about me about curls, how it is for like a woman and to feel embracing them. So just to see that, I support the embracing your curls, your beauty, your self-love, and then to see that again released the next day. And we both said, yo, it might happen. And we're like, it might, but we hope not. It's kind of the same thing about like, hey, we want Tiffany Stratton to win against Charlotte Flair, but Charlotte Flair may win. We were prepared for that, but we're like, we don't want it. But we still want Tiffany to win. The same thing for Dakota. Please don't get released. Please don't get fired. And fuck, it's just seeing it hurts because I'm a fan of Dakota. You kind of probably helped me become a fan or just be aware of her and like be the fan of what I am today of her. So just to see her get released, like, damn, girl, I've been rooting for you. I want you. Me and you and I believe walking still, we wanted her or Lyra to win the IC title. We wanted her to get something. But as a business, it makes sense with her injury prone, the not being executing to what they vision. So as a company, it's understandable, but it fucking sucks.
Yeah, it definitely does suck because she had like a lot going for her too, especially since she was one of the very first people that Triple H brought back when he was starting to take over. Like, I still remember that one SummerSlam, I believe it was SummerSlam of 2022, where you had Bayley coming back, making her return. I believe this was after the match that Bianca and Becky had at that SummerSlam.
Yes, you're right.
You had Bayley walk out. You heard Dakota's music hit. The crowd went wild. You heard Io's music hit. The crowd went wild because these were people that Vince released from the company that Triple H was really behind. So obviously, you know, when it came to certain people that you saw when he you know, came back, and keep in mind, he probably advocated to have these people back. And like we mentioned earlier, he doesn't really have a say in these kind of decisions, but these are people he probably wanted to have with him when it comes to the sort of like vision that he had. And he paired them up with Bayley to create Damage Control because, you know, he has a lot of faith in Bayley. He knows Bayley is very selfless. She does the best for her division. There was even a report that came a little while ago that, you know, Bayley wanted Alba Fire and Toni Storm originally when it came to this whole Damage Control thing. But, you know, but that's not really related to this. But he pretty much chose Bayley to really be this representative of this damage control group. And you saw Dakota Kai and Io that night, and people were really ecstatic about it. And then you look back at, where we are right now. She was out for a little bit. She got her reps. The whole IC title came out on Raw. They had that very emotional video package that she had when it came to the sort of dreams that she was striving for and everything, really leading up to become the inaugural champion of the IC title. And she had some really good matches with Lyra Valkyria when it came to them competing for that title and everything. And it really seemed like things were going down a different direction. She had a new theme song. She was being pushed as a baby face, coming out with one of the things I always loved about Dakota when she came out was you always saw Io cheering in the background, where she was like jumping up in the air, like really happy for her when it came to her starting, like heading off to the ring to her matches and everything. But Dakota's another one that had like untapped potential. And yes, Vash spoke of her being injury prone and, everything along the lines of that. And maybe at the end of the day, TKO decided to be like, maybe we don't really have anything for her or whatever. But she even tweeted out the other day, that she's feeling good, she can wrestle, everything's fine. And then all of a sudden you just see this pop up out of nowhere, knowing how this is one of the first people that was brought back when Triple H came over. It's just crazy. Like when I first saw this tweet, I thought somebody was trolling and everything, because I originally found out about these releases was Billy texted me from work, and I was just chilling doing my own thing. I didn't really know this was coming out today. I heard about it. I didn't know it was happening today, but she was the first name and it just caught me off guard. But it really hits hard. And like Shayna, like I mentioned before, I wish her nothing but the best, and I'm hoping she could propel herself to the next level, because this isn't the end when it comes to Dakota's journey. Like whatever she decides to do next, it's up to her, and I feel like she's going to, do some very good things that I am very interested to seeing her do. And the do you have anything else before we move on to the next one, or?
No, with Dakota Kai, no. Like I just, best of luck. I would love to interview you, Dakota, and talk about like all the situation, because I'd love to talk about your tag titles run, what you have done with your damage control and everything. And also I feel bad for Bayley, because that's also one of her friends, and right now her story, like Bayley started as a damage control, and just to go from damage control of a squad like them, but then you don't have Oscar right now, you don't have Dakota Kai no more. Kairi Sane is still in the back, still recovering, or story not being used for her. And then you have Io Sky succeeding, which bless her soul, I'm glad she is. She deserves it. All the hype that she deserved. But then Dakota Kai, I know Io Sky is also hurt as well, because that is one of her best friends. So I just feel bad for Dakota, man. I'm also sad for this next one too. My big strong man.
Yeah, so the next guy we're going to be talking about is Braun Strowman, which I believe not that long ago, he just came back. And he was doing pretty well when it came to his return to the company, when it came to the matches that he had with Jacob Fatu, and, everything that he was doing on Raw before he got transferred to SmackDown as well. Like, he was doing some pretty good things, and this one just came out of nowhere too when it came to Braun Strowman, because Braun Strowman was always a guy where I thought could remain with the company and do what he needs to do when it comes to whatever plans they had set for him. But this one just, caught me off guard too. Like, it's mainly one of those things that just caught me off guard, but at the same time, it's like, I get it. I'm not saying like, oh yeah, I get it, like I want it. Like, no, definitely not. But it was a random one.
You think that's you think Paul Heyman saying that because people also was pointing out that Paul Heyman kind of buried him with the words saying that he sucks, or he's not on the Mania card because he's not that good lately. You think that also kind of put like a nail in the coffin to what his reputation for who he is as a wrestler, and having Paul Heyman such an esteemed person talk poorly about him.
See, I will say this. So, when it comes to what Paul Heyman said, and I believe you're probably referencing what he said on the Pat McAfee show after
Yes,
Mania.
correct.
I feel like that was just Paul in character. I don't think he literally meant that, like, coming out when he was saying that. He was just in character, trying to play the Paul Heyman character on the show. Just like how Cena was really playing his character on the show and saying how he wasn't going to reveal certain things until the Raw or SmackDown or whatever. I feel like that was just Heyman just saying things as the character, which I really wish people would take some time and understand the difference between somebody betraying their character even outside of the shows, then, you know, looking at it and be like, oh yeah, this is a legitimate thing. Like, Paul said all this and look where he is now. Like, no. Like,
Agree.
that's my problem with a lot of people in today's generation, because this isn't our generation. This is like a newer generation where people take things at face value without taking time and understanding what's going on. It's almost like I wear two different socks and then all of a sudden, you know, I'm like this super evil person because I wore a regular sock that had Freddy Krueger's face on it, because I have like a lot of character socks. And on the other sock, I had like SpongeBob or whatever. And then they're like, oh, you can't mix two different genres with one another. Like, how dare you do that? Like, that's disrespectful. Like, people just say the most like bizarre things. And I've seen a lot of bizarre things on the timeline every single day. I don't think that's the case at all. But again, with him, I believe he does a lot of cooking. So I don't necessarily know if he's going to continue wrestling. If he does, you know, that's awesome. But I feel like when it comes to...
I believe he's gonna retire now, like from wrestling. Now that he's being let go from his second time.
Yeah.
I believe he posted a picture, put a drink up. I believe he was at a boat or having some steak or something.
Yeah.
And he already has stem cells, neck surgery, or I believe he had an elbow surgery not that long ago. Sucks that he had to be let go. He had a good feud with our boy Jacob Fatu. We appreciate you, giving us this type of strong man. You also give us a good feud last year with the big strong man, our Braun Strowman versus Bronson Reed. That was a beautiful match and feud you gave us, so I appreciate that and thank you, Bronson Reed. Best of luck in your endeavors in this, because I'm really sad to see you go. You was always a good hype to go, like, just give us the like the exact picture that Job has in our background. Always good to see him. We also, I remember seeing the Stampede. I believe he was walking around doing the Stampede as well. That was a pretty cool move, just more for the hype, more of the entertainment aspect. But Bronson, best of luck for you in the next one.
Yep. So the next one we are going to be talking about,
this one.
And we're going to combine both of these together because they are a women's tag team that was a legitimate tag team, by the way, is Kayden Carter and Katana Chance. And they were actually called up last year during the draft, I recall. And I was actually really excited about this because before the women's tag titles from NXT were merged with the current women's tag titles that we have now to get rid of them, they were running the tag division. They're very good at what they do. They're very good wrestlers.
They're fucking great.
They put on great matches. And one of the things that upset me when it came to these releases, because I had these two in the back of my mind as well, they weren't getting the proper representation that they deserved. Because when you have these women's tag titles, these were the perfect girls to really carry that division, to really make these tag titles feel special. Like, I came on here on this show numerous times talking about how it's really hard for me to get into the tag titles based on how they're presented. And that's not the wrestler's fault, that's the creative process behind it. So if you want to include Triple H's vision of the creative behind the women's tag titles, then okay, that's when you can start calling out the criticism when it comes to how he books certain things. And they had a chance with the tag titles, and they didn't really have the longest run with them, But these were two girls that had a lot of potential to do a lot of great things. And again, just like how I mentioned with Shayna Baszler earlier, another group of ladies that had untapped potential. These ladies were not jobbers in NXT. They did a lot of good shit. The way that you portrayed them on the main roster, you made them look like jobbers the way that you had them come out doing certain things or whatever. And they weren't really able to capture the full vibe of who they are as individuals when it comes to the whole party gimmick, when it comes to how they came out in NXT. Not a lot of that was there. And you would think with a sort of crowd that you have there, you could really help the crowd get invested with that when it comes to the flashing lights, when it comes to little, like those little, I forgot, they used to come up like those little party guns or whatever you call them whenever they came out. They even had a little disco ball when they came out during their NXT entrance, which was pretty cool to see. So it's like, it sucks that these girls weren't really there to really be there on the top of the card that I really wish they were, because there was just a lot with them. And you know, this isn't me saying this for the first time. I mentioned this in so many shows when it comes to my feeling when it comes to how they're portrayed, because then we had this whole trade window where they got transferred to SmackDown because they were on Raw. Nothing was going on there. They literally got transferred. I believe they had one match, if I'm not mistaken. I would have to check Cage Match to really get that data when it comes to their last match that they had. But they didn't really do anything beyond that little transfer window. They were like there. They had probably more time in the back than they really did out in front of people. And it's unfortunate because these ladies could have really done something. We always say how we're the three of us on this channel very high in women's wrestling. These ladies could have brought a whole new thing to the women's tag division to actually elevate those titles. They weren't able to go the extra mile that they really needed to. And that's one of the releases that did piss me off, because I saw the potential in them and it wasn't fully there.
Look, I don't got much to say because Drop said it perfectly. It's just very sad in that when you believe in a tag team division and you fucking get rid of the best tag team fucking woman division, actual team, they literally had matching gear. Like, they were as good, but not popular, not mainstream like fucking Naomi and Bianca. But they were good as them. Whereas while we have Metaphor, we had Last Legend and Jacob Parker that we will talk about soon. We have all these things going on, but not involve the tag team of Kayden Carter and Katana Chance. They're such a great one. You're gonna release them, girl. Oh my god, got me pissed. Best of luck to their endeavors and where they go next, because like, they deserve the hype. They deserve the love. They're amazing. I know they were hurt when it came to the battle royal of who will win for the gauntlet match to go to WrestleMania. And people were tweeting saying that why did they lose? They're the actual only tag team there other than Zoe Stark and with Shayna Baszler, which is 100% right. And look what happened. Karrion Kross was right. Talk your shit.
Mm-hmm. And next one we're gonna be touching on is Gigi Dolin, and this is actually a really interesting story when it comes to Gigi Dolin, because she was a part of Toxic Attraction when Mandy Rose was still in the company with JC Jane. She did her own thing a little bit, even like before that for a little bit, but then after things broke off with Mandy Rose, after Mandy Rose left the company, it was her and JC Jane trying to run the women's tag division, and then they ended up feuding with each other, and that's when Gigi was really starting to branch out as her own character. And I remember they had that steel cage match that was really good, that I remember watching that NXT episode. I actually recall that I probably have some tweets up on my Twitter account. I'm not going to look them up now, but I do remember I had my thoughts when that match was taking place as well. But Gigi Dolin, you know, she had a whole adventure when it came to being Toxic Attraction, feuding with JC Jane, branching out on her own, and then seeing her with Chemical X, with Shotzi and Tatum Paxley, which they recently formed this little group not that long ago, and they were on Raw not that long ago as well, and they even had, I believe, as of recent, they had, I think it was last week, they had that match of Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez for those tag team titles. They didn't win the match, but they were featured on Raw recently. And this is another one that just shocked me, because she came back. Looks like they had a solid direction of her on NXT, and then all of a sudden, boom, she's gone.
Look, I'm gonna also add Gigi on with somebody else after, because it's just funny, because I just saw her tweet. We also had Gigi, which is hilarious to see all these people in their 20s, having Yahoo. I believe.
Yeah, I already know who you're referring to. You're referring to that Cora thing.
Yeah, Cora, Gigi, and a few other have Yahoo type of emails, and I'm like, I don't even have Yahoo. The last email I had was AIM in AOL, and that is barely seen. Who still uses Yahoo, which is crazy. But just to see Gigi tweet, officially free to work in 30 days, and then Cora Jade comments down below, not us getting signed and fired together. That's fucking insane to really tweet like casually, just to realize that. Like, what Job said is true. We have a document. Gigi was also shown with Tatum Paxley on fucking Raw because they was promoting their tag team match for the fucking women's tag team titles. We had a match for Tatum and Gigi. It reminds me of a year ago or a year and a half ago drop when it was Mustafa Ali, when he was supposed to win the NXT North American title, but then got fired before the POE happened.
Yeah.
So it's like, yo, Gigi was just there. Like, we have Chemical X, also Tatum Paxley's boyfriend. Oh, sorry, no, my apologies. Her husband also got let go, got released contract. So you're telling me that, yo, best of luck to Tatum Paxley, because I also saw Shotzi. She also put like a video package out, I believe earlier today or last night. I didn't get to see it fully, so I was scared that also Shotzi got let go too. So I was a bit worried, like, yo, Chemical X about to be let go, aka gone is Gigi. With Shotzi, who knows? And now Tatum Paxley is by herself. I feel bad for people. Like, just know your friends and peers just being let go to left and right. It's just very disheartening. And, just best of luck to anybody and everybody their weekends, because it's very disheartening. Best of luck to Gigi. You are a gorgeous person. You are a good wrestler for what you could do at your level. And best of luck to what you could do in the future. And maybe you could work now with your boyfriend or partner and probably do something together in the indies. So best of luck in that aspect.
Yeah, because I know her boyfriend's currently in TNA right now, so if she really wanted to, she could probably head to that promotion. Yeah. So are we talking about Eddy Thorpe next, or are we going off of the document with what you just put?
I just put with Cora Jade because I would love to talk about that, since also, they got hired together. Let's get fired together. So I feel like they'll just follow up with that as well.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, they did come into the company together, and then they ended up getting released together as well. But Cora Jade is like another name to talk about when it comes to her overall presentation, because Cora Jade was pretty much being built to be, I remember reports that came out years ago, as her potentially being the next Sasha Banks when it came to the sort of direction that they saw her going with this kind of potential. It was how people were saying. It wasn't WWE saying it. It was basically the way people envisioned her when it comes to that new generation of superstars to carry the company moving forward. And she was one of those people that got injured a couple times. She ended up leaving for a little bit. She got injured again, ended up leaving a bit. So I don't know if the company labeled her as injury prone or whatever, but that doesn't matter to me. The real meat and potatoes here is just based on her overall booking, because I noticed ever since she came back, they haven't really booked her into anything as significant outside of what she was doing with Roxanne when they first aligned with each other to go up against Julia and Stephanie at that Halloween Havoc last year during October, and then they had her doing a couple matches with a lot of wrestlers and stuff. And then as of recent, when they had that match in the pre-show at WrestleMania, you had Roxanne walking away from Cora Jade. So they ended up not winning that match to get that tag team opportunity. And then her and Roxanne were just going back and forth with one another. Kayfabe, of course, when it comes to their characters in WWE. And then you have this whole pairing with Roxanne and Julia, almost in a way not blaming those two individuals, but it's kind of like we moved on from Cora Jade. Like, she's not even factored in the equation anymore. And we have Cora Jade not doing anything, not really appearing on television as much. She did have some good moments during NXT. I mean, not NXT, during TNA, which was nice, where she had a shot with Masha Shamovich when it came to that TNT title. She had a couple matches there because they're working on that partnership with the TNA and NXT talent. So she had a couple of things she was doing here and there. But outside any of that, she really wasn't doing anything that mind-blowing where they were pushing like the other lady. So she kind of fell back. She kind of fell back towards like the end of the line, and then we got this report today that she ended up getting released from the company. And I remember she was one of those people that she did things on the indies. She was in AEW for a little bit. I believe she was on AEW Dark when AEW Dark was a thing. She came over to WWE, and probably within the next 30 days or so, she'll probably be able to find out where she's going to go next. I'm not going to really speculate where these people are going to go because that's not really the time for that, and it doesn't really make sense to do that. But it's like she had untapped potential when it came to what they could have done with her, but now the ball's in her court when it comes to how she could really push things moving forward.
Look, the best thing we could do, because if you guys want to talk about where could they go, TNA, stay tuned for Grappling of the Week. That's when we do our news, our speculation, go into a deep dive into conversation when it comes to the pro wrestling around the world, where our slogan, where anime and wrestling collide. But when it comes to Cora Jade, look, P drop said it perfectly. What else can I add to it is like, look, chat, please, with all respect, do not do your speculation and try to do the job for the wrestlers. People already do it behind the scenes when it comes to their discussion, their phone calls and everything. Please don't have a bad taste just because of what happened with Cora Jade and the story Becky Lynch. That's not needed. Whatever case happened, it did. Yeah. And if it affected her in any way, cool. That's for them to know, and that's for them to keep behind the scenes on their end. It is what it is. But when it comes to her work, it sucks because for CM Punk, I know he was a great supporter for Cora Jade. When he came back, CM Punk, they had a fucking damn vlog just for him to fly out, literally to support Cora Jade. Also surprise Roxanne Perez. Cora Jade was originally supposed to be the heel during Roxanne Perez heel run. It wasn't supposed to be her, but guess what? Roxanne took that and ran with it, and she did great. It made her a bigger star. Roxanne Perez, congrats to what she's doing. But look at this. Indy Hartwell got let go a good 6 months ago or less, and now she's with TNA. And TNA is a contract with NXT WWE, so who knows what is about to happen. But either way, chat, no need to say, oh, it's a little scapegoat and everything. No, because TNA is its own identity as well. It's not owned by them. It's a contract. It's a partnership. So Indie Horror could become its own thing in a bigger star and have her own legacy, her own history. The same thing like Cora Jade. Cora Jade just posted a YouTube video on her channel. I believe I just saw it 25 minutes ago. So if you want to support what she could do as her new name, I can't remember it was, but I think it was Elena Black. So if you want to support her character, her new thing, go do her thing. But best of luck to Cora Jade. It was very disheartening how we saw it. I believe she was hanging out with Blair Davenport, and with Blair Davenport's, I believe, with her boyfriend, and then we're just hanging out, drinking. They say, "I appreciate for everyone supporting my dreams and what I could do and what I could accomplish." Once we read that, we knew, girl, you got let go, and sorry to hear that. Best of luck to what she could do, because I know that if she has passion, she will succeed. If you don't, it wasn't meant for you, and you have, a beautiful thing else in the horizon. So go ahead. But it sucks for Cora Jade.
So the next one we have is Eddy Thorpe, and I know as of recent, he was being put into the main event picture when it came to what was going on with Trick when he had the title, and then we had that whole match at New Year's Evil where it was Obafemi versus Eddy Thorpe versus Trick Williams, and then you had him and Obafemi run it back again. So when it comes to Eddy Thorpe, he's pretty much another one that had untapped potential, where he really wasn't in the spotlight as much as a Javon Evans, Trick Williams, and Obafemi during the NXT days when he was involved with that, because ever since he had that match with Trick, and I remember they ended up winning one of their first matches that they had at that that pay-per-view that they had in February, which was No Mercy, I believe. I don't know off the top of my head. I'm not gonna really venture down that direction. It wasn't No Mercy.
I believe it was Vengeance Day.
Yeah, it was Vengeance Day. But pretty much I remember you had that match of Trick on that one NXT episode where he just blacked out, took him out instantly, and ever since that moment he really wasn't brought back. So I just wish the best for him when it comes to him just finding his ground. And this is also Dakota Kai's boyfriend as well, so hopefully they could find their ground and do what they need to do together. But he's another one that was just not really put in that position when it came to people that they were pushing on the show.
I have to agree that the one thing I'd like to add, Eddy Thorpe, good luck to what your future here holds, and thank you for the meme of what you did 2 weeks ago, I believe, or the past couple weeks, when it was you and Wesley and Lexus King. I forgot who else was there, but Eddy Thorpe said, Look at this greedy ass white man trying to grab something else when he wants from us." And I'm like, that meme was hilarious, because you know why? Wesley reaction, like, he said what? It was a pleasure. I'm going to keep that meme and everything to hold to dearly. And I hope you can continue giving the representation that you hold dearly about your indigenous people and that you want to bring forth. So best of luck in your endeavor, in Eddy Thorpe, to what holds down. And that's all I got for him.
So now we have Javier Bernal, which is, I recall, Tatum Paxley's husband, and I don't really recall seeing him on NXT as much, unless there was certain matches that I wasn't really familiar with his character.
I believe it was NXT Level Up is where he was.
Okay, so yeah, he was. I see this one. I don't really have as much thoughts on, but I wish him the best, and I'm hoping things are good with Tatum. Like, I'm hoping things are looking good for her. Like, I'm hoping I don't wake up tomorrow morning and you see something going on with her. But I wish him nothing but the best. Hopefully he finds his footing somewhere else. That's all I really have on this one.
Same as well. I found out earlier or confirmed with Drop that this was Santa Paxter's husband, her partner, and like I said earlier, it just sucks to know that you was with Chemical X, you lose your husband in at work, and what he could succeed in his career. It reminds of that no matter what you could do and support your partners, you could still keep them, but you gotta be doing good at what you could do, because no matter what type of word of mouth, your husband could be let go and you could stay, and it just depends on those conversation and depends on those communication. So best of luck, and hopefully no bad blood, and hopefully 10 packs is still working. If not, we'll find out by next week, Thursday on Gap of the Week, when we inform you any more updates, and also with Watkins, him giving his own thoughts about these also releases as well.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the last few ones.
Yeah, so at Riley Osborne, I know formerly known as I know she's known as Bia Pasley right now. I don't know why her WWE name Blair Davenport. She was known as Blair Davenport, but this is her husband. He recently got released. Things I know of him outside of his relations with Bia is he was a part of Chase U. They had a little thing going on there.
Yes.
But then after that, pretty much broke down after they disband on NXT. He hasn't really been shown. He's another guy that was just there for that showing, and then he was just backstage, not really doing much after that. But again, just like his wife, I wish him nothing but the best.
Yeah, that's all I got. Best of luck. Your wife got let go, and she was actually more on TV and NXT, and you was with Chase U, which with Chase U is also a bit of fuckery, because when you have Andrew Chase literally have a #1 contender match against Rich Holland, if Andrew Chase loses, Chase U must separate from Thea Hale and Duke Hudson, and also disband and get destroyed, and Chase U just got back and reborn. So it makes that match against Rich Holland like what the fuck. And then you have Tana Paxley's partner gets months later, weeks later, also get released. It was bound to happen. That's what I got. It was bound to happen. It sucks. Truly does.
Yes, it does. So next one is Oro Mensah, which this goes along with Jakara Jackson, if you want to lump them together.
Yeah, let's go with that.
They were a part of Metaphor, which there was something that was actually on NXT this past Tuesday, where we ended up having the Metaphor disband, where Noam Dar, Jakara Jackson, Last Legend, and Oro Mensah ended up separating and going down, a different direction. We didn't really get any update beyond that, but looking back at that moment itself, that was pretty telling when it came to like, okay, maybe this
something is up.
This is sort of setting up what was to come, or maybe it was something different and it didn't happen until this day. But I would assume, I don't want to make any assumptions, but it is pretty alarming when it comes to how both of these took part here. Because I get the whole thing, how they really wanted to, try to do something different with them by seeing how they can go out on their own. And I do know Oro Mensah was on Evolve for a little bit. I believe if I'm not mistaken, I think like the second episode or so, he did main event one of those shows of another talent that was on there too. And Jakara Jackson is another one. Her and Lash Legend were tag partners. They had opportunities on the main roster. I believe they were even on one of the Saudi pay-per-views. I believe it's like a Crown Jewel wrestling for the women's tag titles. So it's like now with Lash Legend heading down a different direction, probably as a singles competitor, because it seems like they're trying to really push her, because I see a lot in her. She was even featured in the Women's Royal Rumble this year. So it's like Jakara Jackson. I mean, it sucks that she was released and everything, and I wish her nothing but the best. And it's just that moment on NXT was just very alarming when it came to these people.
I agree. It's very disappointing with it's with where this one sucks. You know why, Drop? Because Meta 4 had such a good opening that we
Yeah.
can never see on the main roster as well.
Nope.
It's very heartbreaking, like, to know that we could have the fucking Teen Titans fucking type of layout on the main roster, but no, we had it on a PLE 2 times, I believe, on NXT. Cool moments, but then with the way Last Legend and I forgot who has the NXT Heritage Cup. Can you remind me his name?
Who currently has it?
Yeah,
Noam
let me
Dar.
see.
Noam Dar has it right now.
Oh yeah, Norm Dar. He just came back. So when he comes back, and also for anybody that don't understand, he had a sweater wearing shirt of a graphic from a Yu-Gi-Oh card that plays an angel and a devil half size, showing two sides. Was he trying to tell us something? Was Jakara Jackson trying to tell us something? With our energy, once Last Legend said, "Hey, let's break up Metaphor," it came out of the window. Job told us about it in the comment section. I mean, in our thread of NXT. Yo, like, what's going on? It came out so random, and it was very sad because a lot of fans were like, "Yo, this came out of the blue." A few other teams, came up with X, and others just broken off. It like what's going on, but now it makes sense with the releases. Like, they was leading up to this. So instead of cutting off the story, or instead of somebody betraying somebody, let's just have them cut off ties all friendly, and that's what they did. We have Orm Dar. Sorry, not Noam Dar. We have Oro Mensah. Best of luck to what you could do and make your own name for yourself. I remember you tried to have like a singles competition last year, I believe, in the summer. So hopefully you could continue that in the indies. And Jakara Jackson, hopefully maybe with TNA, you'll be good in TNA. I feel like there is something for you like that in the future. Probably work with something with indie. I believe in you. Best of luck. That's what I got.
And the second to last, because there was another one that we forgot, but we could pretty much lump Wolfgang, Mark Coffey, and Joe Coffey, because they were pretty much a tag team together, and they were used on NXT to build the tag division. They did have the tag titles for a little bit, but they became, the last one we're gonna be talking about is Danny Palmer as well. But
okay,
when it comes to them, I mean, they were there, they did their thing in NXT for a little bit, disappeared, went to Evolve. I haven't checked out Evolve since episode 2, so I'll have to catch up on that. But I mean, going to Evolve, seeing if there's a new roof for you there, and then all of a sudden you got the Thanos snap all of a sudden. I mean, that's that sucks. I mean, I wish them nothing but the best. They weren't really featured on television as much, so I mean, that's not a good sign when it comes to the sort of creative direction they had.
When it comes to these people, I don't got much to say. I don't know much about them. I probably have seen a few of their matches before, but I don't know much of what they could do. So
That's fine.
Sucks to say, but best of luck in your endeavors. Once we do the last one, we could, sum it up, because there's a few tweets I do want to mention that talks about releases, and I do want to shout them out. That gives kind of a highlight of how other people think and feel. So Let's talk about this last person.
Yeah, so the last person is Danny Palmer, and I do know of her because I know she was on NXT Evolve for a little bit. I remember she got brought up to NXT. She is very athletic. I remember her being one of the key points on Evolve when it came to her overall presentation, when it came to how they were trying to push her and everything. And it's just unfortunate, again, it's just somebody that pops up and boom, they're gone. I mean, that's honestly the best way to really describe the situation with her. So, and I know you don't really know who she is, so we don't really need
I do not
touch on that or anything. So we could probably transition to the closing part of this, and then we could wrap up our show.
All right, so the the reason I want to give in some last thoughts about, because for SmackDown chat, we're not going to add any more thoughts because we already spoke about it. Check the time codes down below and see what you want to talk about. But the reason I like this because, for example, a big shout out to our good friend, content creator as well that we know in the PR community, JD. A lot of people said this week feels like a nail in the coffin of the WWE Women's Tag Division. As much as myself and Drop and Watkins are a big fan of tag team division and what they're trying to persuade, sometimes Watkins, sometimes Drop don't feel much into it. I'm sometimes a positive one, trying to see the highlight, trying to see what it could still come out of it. But he says a good rebuttal. Good. The division died when Vince took the straps from Sasha and Bayley 2 months after they initially won them. I don't believe some people are still harping on the division. There is no division. There was never a division. The only team they had that was actually a tag team was 2 of the women they released tonight, a.k.a. it was Kayden Carter and Katana Chance were the 2 people he's talking about. The women's tag team needs to die, and the quicker understand as the healing will begin. That's very true. Another one is Humble Wrestling. I don't know how you could release a guy whose knees were crying help every night he went out there to legitimize your future big men, aka Fatu and others, and he's talking about Braun Strowman. And no question asked, Paul Heyman, bury him. That is a possibility. People could theorize for what you want, but at the end of the day, any other name in a long list of names, no matter what you do, the company is doing its best. But it is like, would you still be? Drop. My question is, with all these people having, different opinions. Like for example, we also have Tegan Knox. She tweeted saying, "Imagine releasing talent like that. Place is a fucking insane. Imagine tweeting after 7 months of being released later and still having that context, still having the handle of taking Knox WWE behind her and still tweeting about them. Like, that is a tough spot to be in. Like, with the releases, it just sucks on the timing. But as a company, I get it. But it just sucks that you're making yourself look bad with the bad timing, with the releases, the day of SmackDown, and it's after WrestleMania, hiring all these people. It's like it's a lose-lose situation. People want to blame Vince. People want to blame TKO. People want to blame anybody just because they cannot accept the loss of certain great people that could always come back. Like, for example, Aleister Black came back, Rusev came back after being released, and they're going to do better. We just hope to see the work gets cook in the booking. But how do you feel about what I just said as well?
I mean, I definitely agree with JD because this has been something I've been saying for the longest time, and we haven't really had that feel with the tag titles since Sasha and Naomi when they won those titles at WrestleMania, and they were really trying to push the needle with those titles so they could mean something. I mean, that was one of the many reasons why they initially walked out of the company to begin with. If you want to read on that story, just look online. I'm not going to reiterate the whole thing.
Yeah.
But then, like he said tonight, the only real tag team that you had that really could have pushed that division to the next level, and reminds me of another guy on the show that spoke about that as well, that I mentioned earlier, when it came to them really pushing the women's tag titles where they need to be, got rid of them. And you have the whole thing where it's like Lash isn't with Jakara anymore. So that would have been another thing you could have really done with it. Then you had
a blessing that we had a match with Bianca and Naomi before they got released. Thankfully they had a match with beautiful moments of Last Legend and Bianca, but we also had a chance with Jakara and Naomi. So gladly that we got that before it was too late.
Yep, but you also had stuff with Gigi Dolin and Tatum too, which was another team you had together, and now Gigi's gone, and Tatum's like, not saying you need to think like this, but it is pretty alarming. I mean, it's almost like your husband's gone, so it's hard not to really think that's coming, because we had, Dakota and her boyfriend get released in the same night. So, I mean, I'm hoping to wake up tomorrow and see it, but it's like, it's one of those things that pop out to you.
And Drop, I feel bad for also Zelina, because Zelina and Dakota have a podcast together where they also see each other every week. So just knowing that your friend is a U.S. title winner and she's still working at said company, and knowing that, like, damn, I'm not there no more. Like, hey, at the end of the day, hopefully there's no bad blood where you can still come and visit, still
Mm-hmm.
hang out, or still come if they're by your city and everything. But I know you're gonna have some saw in your mouth, some sour taste, be like, damn, you did that just fuck me over. But it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. It's just one of those situations where it's like, when it comes to the women's tag division, it's either just get rid of the whole concept to begin with and we go full throttle with those mid card titles. Now that you kind of threw that out the window, you could fully lean into that. Because if Liv Morgan wants to go after the Intercontinental title before she wants to go after the world title again, nobody's complaining about that. Same with Raquel Rodriguez. If they want to go after that, they can. But it's almost like those tag team titles. Oh, you even had Shayna Baszler leave tonight, and her and Zoe were a thing too. We don't even know what's going on with Zoe Starks either, which I'm not saying we want anything like that, but it's like you're getting rid of all these teams that you had heading after this tag title, and they're pretty much gone when it comes to people that were there and people that were coming up. And then you look at all these talent. I mean, yeah, this was a lot of talent we discussed, and we're not gonna, dive into it again because the time codes are there. But it was just a untapped potential is probably one of the key words of this episode tonight. Just a lot of untapped potential when it came to the sort of direction you could have had with these people.
It's gonna be pretty interesting when also NXT this Tuesday is gonna feel a bit weak when it comes to the women division and also the men division. Them losing 3 stars, not saying that they were main eventers, but losing stars either way when there's a weak men division right now in the NXT where the main roster of Obafemi and everyone else feels like who is his next challenger when right now you don't have much to show or much to handle. So best of luck of what they could represent for us. But honestly,
Yes.
this was a fun show to do. It was much better than just doing SmackDown. But all right, guys, this was a good, fun hour and 20-minute show. Bye. But no, we actually talked about the releases. We gave our thoughts. We gave our rants, our passion to know what the fuck this is. Like, it makes no sense to, like, if they're going to release people, honestly, please don't plan on a Friday off SmackDown. Stop doing that. Playing on a Thursday, even the day before is better. Even playing on the weekend on Saturday morning, so it's just better. Not saying no news is better news, but at least news without the same day of work day where the people that are doing the performance don't have to seem like they just had a whole session of crying or just not trying to feel like we just lost even the taste of watching it. How would you like to hear that there's content creators like myself and Drum that we had lost the interest to even review the content that we want to talk about because of their poor day of choice of releasing these type of wrestlers slash superstars, and we are just like, yo, I like the superstar. I like the superstar. Fuck, that's 3, 4, 5, 6 superstars that I like, and you just release them. They have potential. It just takes you out of it. So this was a fun show to review, drop review. It was a pleasure to give you a chance. Hopefully, guys, give your thoughts in the comment section below. Let us know how you feel about these releases, because this is not the first time, and it won't be the fucking last time that we will hear a sad superstar that we are attached to, admire, that we want to see them succeed. It won't be the last time. So we just got to be prepared. Support now the best we can. You don't have to buy the merch or the shirts or the seats all the time, but just following, showing, supporting is the best we could do. It shows the company that we're there the best we could do. But this your boy Vash. He gave his thoughts. He gave his final words. Drop. How about you?
I mean, I pretty much just said what I said earlier. I mean, it's a
All
tough
right.
thing to look at when it comes to what transpired tonight, but the best thing to really say in this scenario is, we wish them the best of luck. Hopefully they can find some good footing elsewhere, if it's AEW, TNA, if it's, any other indie promotion out there, whatever career they want to pursue, maybe even outside of wrestling, if they feel like maybe they don't really want to do this anymore because we're not in their heads, so we don't know what they're really thinking at this point. For all we know, they could go venture down a different direction and do something else entirely. But yeah, those are my thoughts there. So I'm going to take you guys to our outro now, and I want to thank you guys for taking the time out of your night to listen to the Weebs of the Ring podcast. And if you enjoyed what we had to say, why not do exactly what Vash just said? Be sure to follow us on our social media when it comes to the Anime We Studio account, the Vash account, which is Vash's own personal account where he posts on, my account at Drop This Box, Watkins NW. Be sure to follow him, see what he's up to, and also the Weebs of the Ring account. And be sure to use the hashtag Weebs of the Ring to interact with us about anything regarding wrestling before, during, or after our shows. Feedback is always appreciated as we are nothing without you guys tuning in. Weebs of the Ring is presented by Anime Studio. Thanks to our production team for all of their hard work. Thank you once again for joining us, and remember, no stunt grannies were harmed in the recording of this podcast. Have a good night, everybody. We will see you on the Monday Night Raw coverage, and if we do hear a few things throughout the week, you'll probably hear our thoughts on our own personal accounts along with the Weebs of the Ring account if there's any more releases, because like I stated earlier, I feel like this isn't it. I feel like I'm gonna wake up tomorrow morning. I can't really say tomorrow morning, it's 2:11, but I'm gonna be waking up in a few hours, and I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest, maybe around the afternoon, we get some more. Not saying I want to, but this is just their talent release schedule before the summer season officially hits. So
It's the yearly routine. Is the annual routine is what it is, Chad. And please let us know how you feel, because maybe there'll be more shorts available. Who knows?
yeah. That is a good thing to bring up. Maybe there will be some little side content on there. But I'm gonna let you guys get some rest up, get as much sleep as you possibly can. And we'll see you guys live on Monday. Have a good one.
Take care.